Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, episode 3, Money or Legacy. We're about to get into it. I'm bringing back the crew once again. We're reviewing Full Swing, documentary of the PGA Tour and Live Tour out on Netflix. I'm really excited about this particular episode because we're about to break down some barriers and some walls. So let's just get into it. We're going to be talking about Money or Legacy, Full Swing. Let's bring the crew in, and here we go. Barbara, how have you been? It's a new week. We're going for a new episode. Are you excited to be back? How are you liking
So excited to be here. The series just keeps getting better and better. And what I love about it is the fact that now we're going to get into some juicy stuff. And really, is this going to polarize us as to what our thoughts are coming up? I don't know. Maybe.
I think we're going to find out from our guest. I know my opinions. Let's get everybody in here. Greg, let's get Greg in the house. Greg is in the house. The Pinehurst 6. Again, you guys, you saw it from episode 1, episode 2. I love what he is doing on Instagram. Be sure to follow him. He's a phenomenal little creator on everything golf. But his opinions around Full Swing is what made me reach out and said, hey, I need this collab. We need to do a full-on review. You have so much more to say. Let's hear what you got to say. Episode 3. Are you excited about this episode?
I'm pumped, man. Episode 3, we're going to be talking about my guy Ian Poulter a lot. He's a fellow Gooner, fellow Arsenal supporter, so I had to throw my shirt on. And come on, you Gunners. And Ian, if you see this, just remember we're on the same side. I might talk a little shit about you later, but we're both Gooners, so let's get that out of the way.
Oh, I'm loving this. I didn't know that about Greg. This is going to be even more fun because I've got certain things I want to say about Poulter here, which is, it's all good. I think it's a new light. I think it brings him a good Duffer side out of that. But let's bring in the professor. Mr. Kendall, welcome back.
Cheers.
Are you ready for cheers up? Actually, the Duffer's up. Glass is up. Here we go. You can't. If you're a true Duffer, you got to put the glass up in here. But the producer's got to keep it sane. She's got to keep us on track, right?
I have to keep it on the track
and rolling, right, and on track. Love it. The professor Kendall, always a guest Duffer, and joins me out and doing multiple different courses, reviews all across the nation. Let us know where you want to play. We'll come out. We will film with you, and we'll tell you, the best. But without fail, the other side of the Thompson household is the lovely Dustin Thompson, bringing in the, I don't know if I want to say female Duffer perspective. I just think she brings a new twist on what we're seeing behind the scenes. She is a great golfer as well, but her perspectives would not lean you to think as such. So much so about this particular episode, we got into it. This one literally let us spin it off, so I'm crazy excited to jump in Money or Legacy. Episode 3, Full Swing. Let's do this.
Let's do this. So, okay, everybody's chomping at the bit. I know that everybody wants to jump in, but let's first talk about Ian Poulter. This episode really leans on his story. So, number 1, thoughts on Ian Poulter. Like, what do you think about him?
So, I'm going to let Greg fanboy off here in just a second because I want to make a comment and I want to see if he agrees. I think he is the Andre Agassi of golf. And I say that as he's a flash. He loves to come in. He loves, making his call outs to, Pink Stewart. Like he like the way he just collabs himself out there, which brings a wildness that wasn't Kupka-esque. It was just, I just want to, march to my own color, right? I just want to march to my own wildness out here, which was always fun to see. I think he had more success European side of the house than he does. When it comes to Ryder Cup, I would be a name I'd throw up there all day long and be like, hey, I'm picking a squad, I'm throwing him on it. He's undefeated in match play, right? Like, I think no one has touched him. Not even Tiger has got a record as Ian Poulter does, when it comes to the Ryder Cup. So I think he's my comparison is the Andre Agassi of golf. What do you think, Greg?
So I don't follow tennis much. I only know the bad side of Andre Agassi, the addiction struggles, all that good stuff. So with that, I would say he's probably not the Andre Agassi of golf, That's maybe Dustin Johnson, but we'll talk about him
What?
later.
Name dropping.
But I love Ian. He, his style is not for me. I'm not for the plaid trousers. But I do like him trying something new and just trying to, spice up a really dull and just stiff sport that golf is. He definitely marches to the beat of his own drum. And like you said, he's a fiery competitor. The Ryder Cup, he thrives. And they talk about, he played the WGC match play and he was the least ranked golfer in their group, but he's got a stellar match play record. So he's always got that chip on his shoulder. He creates that me versus you aspect. And yeah, he's good at mind games and he's just a winner straight up.
Love it. Kendall.
I agree with the Andre Agassi analogy. I'm not a huge fan of him. I just think he whines a little bit too much and lets things get under his skin and then becomes like a little bitch, if you will. But I agree with what you said as far as the match play and like his ability in Ryder Cup. Like he has the ability to play really good golf. I just wish he wouldn't be so whiny all the time.
Dustin,
what's your take?
I think that if you're looking at somebody who loves the PGA Tour and what it stands for and the legacy, he is that guy. The way he dresses is a nod back. The way that he wants to be captain, and so how he feels about the sport, I think, is in his blood, in his bones. Yeah. He definitely wants to win. He's a competitor, but I think that it's an interesting episode with what ends up happening with him because of how much he loves the sport and how much he loves the PGA.
I gotta agree with you, Dustin. Like my initial reaction to him is he loves this sport. He loves it so much. It's like in his blood. And I love his outfits. I love that he goes and he does a nod to the Payne Stewarts and really to that whole thing about golf. And I really think his love of the game was above and beyond all the other ones in the episodes so far. Like, I really believe that. And so the way this plays out is going to be interesting. One of the things he says, it's like, this was like a really interesting time for a documentary to follow the PGA because of what's playing out. So I got to put it out there. Livgolf, the timing of it all.
Love it. It's about time that we could talk about it.
Okay, so let's get into it. How are we feeling about Livgolf and the introduction of Livgolf? Who wants to go first?
Look at you can see the eeriness on everyone's hands to talk about this. All right, I will go first. I will literally go on record and say I think Livgolf has its place. For the way it is unfolding, for the way that players are leaving for Livgolf, this episode is a perfect example of how do I take people that are still relevant, but not be relevant to be a phenom, winning like Scheffler is right now. And, I got to make money because it's an independent golfer on the PGA and it's not enough like this, but I could secure the rest of my career with a huge payday, to continue to do something I love. I think for that money jump, great. They're all individuals. Golf is the only sport out there that you're fiending for yourself to make it, right? If you don't make, the cut on Saturday, you're done. That's it. You've invested in something. You can possibly go home and tell your wife that you just lost a bunch of money because you weren't good enough, right? Where here you've got golfers that have reached the pinnacle of competing against some of the best golfers on the planet and still aren't good enough anymore. I think you really see that in Ian's episode here. He'd beat me any day of the week, but he's not competing at the level that he says it in this episode. He's not competing at the level anymore to make the big cuts, to make the big paydays. And if you've watched this episode, and I think at one point you're seeing like 9-10 people sitting around, family dinner, after flying back on the private jet. Like we talked about it in the first 2 episodes. There's a certain point where you make it and you're living at a certain stature where you forget, can you check out at CVS or not? So I think this is a really unique perspective. The argument that I'd love to hear you guys' input on is I don't think they should be ever judged and or allowed to compete as far as you get to keep your PGA card, you get to keep, live and like this, because they're not the same.
Let's hold off on that for a second, right? Like we'll come back and talk about whether or not they should, participate in PGA. But let's take it a step back. So for those who don't understand what Liv is, which one of you want to like fill us in? David, why don't you fill us in?
I'll let the professor do that because he's done all the science to this one here. Kendall, what is Livgolf?
Livgolf is a tour that was started or founded by Greg Norman. Media likes to press that it was or is backed by Saudi money, which it is. 54 holes, team events included with individual prizes, no cuts, so everyone makes money. Pretty sure that sums it up in a nutshell, unless I missed something, guys.
The other piece is this is all contracted. This is like baseball now. This is like NFL. You have a contract for X amount of dollars to show up to every event, play through every event, and and you're now a signed athlete, a golf athlete in this league.
So as a golf purist, if you are, is this insulting to the game of golf? Because we are conditioned to know that if you make the cut, you get to play. But if you don't, you go home with no purse. So how's that feel?
Greg, I'll give you first cut on that.
No.
Okay. So Livgolf's not for me. I hate the no cut. I hate 54 holes. I hate the shotgun start. Are we playing in a damn charity scramble here, or are we playing professional golf? I don't know. I think that golf is a what's the word I'm looking for here?
Purist?
It's a gentleman's sport.
It is a gentleman's sport. It is. I can't think of the word. It is a results-driven business. If you produce the results, you reap the benefits. Livgolf is paying, I think it's $80,000 for last place. That just comes across to me as everybody gets a trophy and everybody's rich. I don't like it. I do think it has a place. I think right now it's coming across as more of the retirement tour, which, hey, go get your money. You know what? I can't fault any of the individual athletes for taking that payday. I just think it's a watered down product. I don't like it.
I will agree with you on that. I will never fault anyone for doing anything that's going to better their livelihood. If they came to me today and said, "Hey, Duffer, you're going to get your card and go play against Tiger, Rory, and these guys, or we're going to give you the Phil Mickelson treatment to just come over here and show up and golf." I don't know, guys. I might be a Phil fan. At least I still get paid at the end of the day. So, that's where I see the ultimate difference. I don't know. I feel like it has its place, but my argument is I don't think it has a place to be compared to the PGA. They are two different leagues and should be treated as such. Let them do whatever they want, but stop trying to marry them up and saying that they should be allowed to come over here. I was a PGA player, yada, yada, yada. You left. Bye. See ya.
You guys both bring up a very good point. I'm still pretty much in the same viewpoint after Greg spoke, but I understand what Greg is talking about, where it's not traditional golf. And I agree with that. Like, live golf is probably not for me either. However, I think that if someone's going to pay me more money or equal money to work less, then my prerogative. They shouldn't be banned from the PGA Tour for that. Should they have to play PGA events or events that qualify to get the points they need to enter certain tournaments? Yeah. Should they be banned from majors? No, because those don't qualify under standard PGA rules. So the point of the PGA or the majors is the best golfers in the world. And you could argue that some of the best golfers in the world we don't even know yet because they haven't even been seen. So why would you ban people just because they chose to make money somewhere else?
On that point, I agree with you, because this was the argument I think me and Dustin, kind of went back and forth on. If you've won the Masters, whether you have your PGA card or not, right? Black Knight can go out there right now, tee it up as an honorary golfer, and play the entire 4 rounds. And if he happens to be playing the best golf of his friggin' life, win the tournament, right? We saw that with why am I mind blanking his names? He almost came back and did
Tom Watson at the Open, at the British Open. Yeah, we had Freddie Couples a couple times at the Masters.
Freddie Couples, that's what came back, was in the running all the way up until Saturday, like late Saturday, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, is this going to be the oldest guy on tour to come back and win a Masters who doesn't have a current active PGA card?" I think the allure of the Masters, it's always going to be a standalone tournament. The live golfers get to show up. It's as if they were retired. If they've won the jacket, then they have the right to show up. If you're over on Live Tour and you've never won a jacket, sorry, you get no right. They shouldn't get an invite. It's not measured on the same grounds as the PGA players of the legacy of how it is to get there. I don't think you earn the right.
If I'm not mistaken, they can still play on some of the other tours that would give them qualifying points. It's just the PGA they can't play on, right?
What other tour? A PGA card. Where are you going to go? You talking about the Web Tour? You talking about Corn Ferry? Like, what do you?
Oh, isn't it like even some European events? I think still like the points qualify.
Yeah,
so why
but again, they're playing 4 rounds. There's cuts. There isn't.
No, I get that, but I get that. I'm just saying, to qualify for events here, if they have enough points to qualify for any of those tournaments, it shouldn't matter where their loyalty is. They qualify for it.
But that's the question at hand. Where are they getting the points? Right now, if you're a live golfer, how am I getting points that qualify in the PGA Tour? I don't have a PGA card, so how the hell am I getting points?
Well, that's why I was asking. I'm pretty sure that the PGA and like some European tours, the points count both ways. I'm not positive. That's what I'm asking. If that's the case, they could choose to play 30 events on the European Tour and qualify back here in the States.
Well, that also kind of goes against everyone who went to Live Golf. The talking point was they get to work less and, still make the most money. So if they only want to play the 15, 12 events that Live puts on, then more power to them. But then if they want to go out and play the Asian Tour or the DP World Tour, European Tour for us purists, then are they really working less? No, they're working just as much and they're at home less because they're traveling to the Asian Tour, to the DP World Tour. They're not in the States. I mean, guys like Ian Poulter, he could play DP World Tour events all the time if he wants, get those points, qualify for the majors. It does look like the majors are kind of saying, hey, like, yeah, you can still compete, you can still qualify.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I go back and forth, but hey, if you qualify for it, yeah, sure, you can play in it.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you guys because I was told that there was like dissension in your household because of Live Golf. So I want to hear what drove you guys to this argument. Dustin, what's your opinion on this?
I feel like the PGA reacted like a jilted ex-girlfriend. And where the PGA had the rules, everybody respected it, but every golfer, if you listen to interviews prior to 2021, talked about things in the PGA that they didn't think were necessarily right or fair, or things that they would change or that they wish would change. And I think that saying, hey, you've gone over there, you're no longer allowed to play in a sport that you've given a lot to of your life, your relationships in some instance. I think that again, it was just a knee-jerk response by the PGA. I don't think that Livgolf should be a qualifying tournament or space for PGA points. But saying that you have no ability to qualify for your PGA card because you chose to have a contract over there, I think is wrong. And that's where the argument started to happen in our household.
So I agree 100% with Dustin.
So hold on that point, and I like the way you broke it down this time. It wasn't the same in the argument. But
marriage counseling has worked.
Level heads now.
Well, I think there's a place for both, right? I mean, because here's the reality of it. How many of you have actually watched a live golf tournament? I haven't.
Yeah.
It's all speculation of what I'm hearing in the news. I haven't. Don't care to. Right? It's the closest thing that I've watched that I hear that is live golf related was going to the Waste Management Tour. That's a party amongst parties. And again, I think I saw like 4 golfers. So it was more about being there for the party than anything else. So if that's what the live tour is going to be about, cool. That's on them. They're making a fortune. Cool. That's awesome. It's B League. It's not the rest. The question comes into play is, do you watch? And Greg's going to completely, disagree with me. Do you watch the European tour? Can you even tell me where you can find it unless you have cable 1000 with 800 channels? Like, you don't even see any of these other ones, right? Even on the Golf Channel, they don't put up half of the, the tournaments and stuff like this that's on there, right? So it becomes you've got to be a purist, to Greg's point, for an Ian Poulter fan to know where he's going to, find it online, find that tournament, find the stats, and apparently if it is, all no one cares about is who's, for me, where's Tiger playing?
But you're talking about fans and where they choose to spend their time, which has no relevance or impact whether live is good or bad for the sport. It's just another method for the sport, whether that is considered a retirement sport, whether that's there's 150 players that could come out for a tournament and never make the cut. And as you see in the first 2 episodes, they're not making paychecks. So, if they want to sustain their families, but they want to play in a sport they love, this might be an option for them. But I think with Ian Poulter in this episode, what was interesting about this being the 3rd episode and being so focused on the live golf and the way they portrayed Ian Poulter also is there brings a whole other element that isn't monetary to the conversation. And again, I think the players that have left have various reasons why they've left and what they expect to get out of live golf. But I think, again, saying you no longer can play ever in a PGA, I think that is ridiculous. You look at men in this sport that have given their life and made a lot of money for the PGA. Yes, they've made a lot of money as well, but these sponsors, the tournaments that keep coming back, that if Tiger's going to be in there, attendance is going to be high. They're also winning with those players. So I think it's wrong what they just said. You're no longer allowed to play the PGA.
I actually think. Oh, go ahead, Robert.
I agree with Dustin because there is a place for live golf, and you could think, is live golf a threat to the PGA? You could think that. What I actually think is what live golf did was shift things in the PGA for the better, because you can no longer rest on your laurels and think that they'll just go with whatever we want. So what it did is it started a new conversation with the PGA and really elevating it. And so that there's more of an opportunity for players to have a say and that it's not like the end. It's not a monopoly, if you will. And so
I agree with that statement right there, because here's the perfect example. They just put the stat out on Rom. I think we're how many tournaments into the season right now? Greg, how many?
I think he's played 4 tournaments.
And he's already at
he's 4 or 5, right? Or 3 or 5? Or
and
3 or 4?
6.4 or 9 point something million won. So they've found more money all of a sudden for the PGA. It's always been there, right?
Case in point. So going back to what Barbara said and what Dustin said is, I think them banning people was to try and scare everyone else from not going. They have no leg to stand on by banning someone. You can't. They're an independent contractor. If you're telling me they had something in the bylaw saying that they could determine whether they can or can't play, I would probably call BS on that. So I see the players winning that suit if it goes that far. However, I don't think I agree with what everyone else said. It should not count. Live should not count towards PGA, but there's no way you can tell them they're banned. And they're an independent contractor. Whatever's going to make them money, they should be able to take the contract.
So I'm going to piggyback on Dustin's analogy for a second, where she said that PGA kind of acted like a jilted ex-girlfriend. So the PGA took you out on the boat every weekend. You lived a good life. You know, you had a good time. You found someone with a trust fund. Said, holy shit, you know, it's not me, it's you. Like, you can't provide this life for me. You jump ship, and your ex says, hey, okay, no more you up texts at 2 a.m. You can't come back every once in a while just when you want to. No booty calls. And you said, holy shit, what? I'm going to sue you now. That's what the Live Golfers did. So, yeah, PGA did kind of act like a jilted ex-girlfriend, but I don't blame them.
Hey, all right, Greg, I have an analogy for you based on your analogy. So the PGA Tour is like the rich guy that says, you know, if you marry me, you'll get XYZ as long as you do exactly as I say. But if you don't, you're cut off, you get zero.
Yes. So then you all of a sudden go like, wait a second, do I want to be in this relationship where I have to do whatever it is you say? Or do I want to go explore other relationships and still want to, come back here and test the waters with you? Because maybe
an independent contractor is a single person.
Right. Maybe
they can play the field.
Yeah.
I love this. This is going to be this episode's going to come out. And it's going to be trending, and we're going to be all invited to ESPN Sports to talk about. We're going to sit down with Rory in the PGA next teammate players meeting on this.
That being said, I am not a fan of Live Golf. I think it has its place. Right. I'm not saying everybody should go and play there and then also play here. But the people who did go, especially Ian Poulter, like the way they played his story, and this could be, also the hand of the producer, but the way they played his story, he's got a big family to feed. And so for him to go there knowing that his game of golf is probably, on the downturn makes sense to me. But I don't think that because of that, he shouldn't play in the Ryder's Cup either. That's the thing he's loved his whole career.
So that brings up a really unique question, because they just announced 2024 that, that's 12 tournaments you have to play in. That way they have more money, more something like this. They're taking a picture from Liv for the PGA Tour. And maybe this is novice in not knowing I should have better done some research on this. There's certain tournaments like the Masters, the US Open, like that you've got to earn so much through the tour to be invited to be able to, participate in. So the Live, and I think the question everything at hand is, to Dustin's point, I think with Greg piggybacking on this, is I'm not banning them in this. You're right. I could show up tomorrow, right now. If I decide to go practice my ass off, earn my right onto the tour and play, can I not have a side gig? As long as I'm abiding by the PGA rules, I'm earning my points on the PGA side, and then I go do that, I should be allowed to play. But to Kendall's point, I haven't read a contract of what it takes to play on the PGA Tour. This might be where we need to bring in ESPN specialist on golf or whatever. What does the contract actually say? Why is it turned into such a huge divide, other than, to Dustin's point and to Greg's point, of going, we're just jilted assholes here, and I don't want you over there playing with them. That's my toy. You can't play with it too.
Well, here's what I want to add. Like, for instance, in Hollywood, like you have your George Clooney's, for instance. Mm-hmm. He'll go to Japan and make a commercial in Japan that's never going to air in the States and make a lot of money doing that. Does that mean that he should be banned from doing anything in the States, from doing movies and or commercials? Because there was a payday for him to go to Japan to film this commercial. Like, I liken it to that. Like, it's a side hustle, if you will. I mean,
from a side, this is where I said in the beginning. I think there's a place. If you want to play there, you get paid to play there. I think as long as you're abiding to the rules, to Dustin's point, like, hey, if you still want to play in the PGA, great. But you don't get to show up 1-2 tournaments and think that because you're playing 12 over on Live, you qualify for the FedEx Cup. Absolutely
no
not.
2 a.m. booty calls.
Yeah, I mean, mark my words. I promise you, all the Dustin Johnsons, depending on how long this goes, they're not going to keep them banned. Like, because there's enough money on the other tour to where people are just going to go play anyways, right? So why wouldn't you? If you're trying to be the best you can at your job, or make the most you can at your job, because that's everyone's goal, is like, how do I make more money? So take the fact that it's a sport out of it. Like, I go where I can make more money. Period. So
that's just like,
you can't blame them for that.
Right now, as in 2023, I can choose what tournaments out of however many that are there that I want to show up to, as long as I get my required X amount of in, right? That qualifies.
But not if you played on Live. As
right?
of now, not if you played on Live.
No, not if you played on Live. But the PGA this year, I can choose the tournaments. 24, they're telling you, no, you have to play these 12.
Well, they have those what's the term they use, Greg, for the whatever events?
Elevated events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are required for like the top whatever players. Yeah.
Because PGA Tour is doing the no cut events now in 2024, which I am totally against no cut events. I don't think they should count towards official World Golf rankings, but they will.
I mean, I think.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dustin. Sorry.
When it goes to PGA and Live, for me, it's pretty cut and dry. They're not the same. If you choose, you're going to go for your own reasons and do that. That's fine. The PGA is going to survive regardless. I think the media has confused it a lot because, again, we talked in the last episode about creating these characters with Koepka being the bad boy and, Scheffler being the white bread guy. You look at the what they did with Livgolf and talking about Saudi money. One of the things that I asked David is, okay, so let's say that somebody went and created another tournament that wasn't backed with Saudi money. Then what argument are they making in that regards? Because it was a big media hype and argument about all the interviews that they had with the players was about all of these things that were happening in Saudi Arabia and how could they play for a tournament about that, making it political. But again,
you're 100% right.
Yeah, they're going to come up with another
Look at Kendall in his chair.
So Dustin, to your point there, the media and even the Golf Channel and the idiotic analysts that they have on it that kept going back to, I don't remember his name, but if I had a picture of him, I'd put it up here because he kept going.
Chambly?
No, it's we'll hit that on another episode. But he literally just talks about the Saudi money and like all about the Saudi money. Well, guess what? Saudi money funds part of the European Tour, funds part of the Asian Tour, funds part of the PGA Tour. So don't tell me about Saudi money. They're moving that script to get a reaction out of people and to cause controversy, just like the media does in every other aspect of media. So take that out of the equation. Saudi money doesn't matter.
So I do think that Saudi money does matter. I think Saudi money does matter because it's 100% backed the Live Tour. It's not just partially, because every other one of those companies is publicly traded, and Saudi money just publicly trades. They've got a fund where they trade. But this is 100% backed by Saudi money. Now, I do think that the PGA Tour has gone on the offensive and said and played the moral card, right? Because that's all they have. They cannot compete monetarily. Live Saudi money, they are infinite. They have infinite money. They can just throw $200 million at whoever they want. They offered Tiger like $800 million. I mean, the PGA Tour can't do that. Yes, they found more money. They sure as hell haven't found $800 million to throw at one player. So
So how do you feel about it? Because you're talking about Saudi money, but I don't know how you feel about it, Greg. Are you for it or against it?
I am against it in principle.
As you wear an Emirates shirt.
Very, very
Yeah.
well put. Very well put.
But why are you against it? Why are you against it?
I am against any government 100% funding anything. I'm not for, but to keep it with football, keep it with soccer, I'm not for the company of Qatar owning PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, one of the biggest football teams in the world. And they're also trying to buy Man United, another huge team in Europe. I'm not for any government owning any sports team, sports franchise. I just don't think it's their place.
Well, I mean that's a totally different conversation, but then that goes into the equation of all governments are about control. Ours included, right? So
this is the moment of the 19th hole. We've gotten very deep water.
yeah,
Political side here.
And back to the media. The media is always going to spin because the first day of school, when you study anything that has to do with media, is if it bleeds, it leads. That means that we are going to turn this story however we want to spin it so that it is provocative and people are leaning in. And so that's why they keep harping on the Saudi money and all of that, is because that's the thing that's going to really make it provocative, and make people lean in.
So let's ask this question, because we're on it. We're on the political news. How do you think when in this episode they were asked, they're on the media, they're on the board, right? And, Kendall just alluded to this, and they were getting the questions blasted at them. How well do you think their publicist prepared them for those moments?
terribly. Terribly.
That media strategist should be fired.
Yeah, I mean, I could have been a multimillionaire if they told me they were going to have an interview. I could have done it better. I'll tell you exactly what to say, and then it would have been 10 times better than what they did.
Yeah.
Do you think they were truly blindsided? I felt like they all were sitting up there going, holy shit, not the questions I ever thought that were going to come our way. And just kind of media blank spared. I don't have to answer that. Because even as quick as on their feet, I don't think anyone was prepared for a golf, tournament / league to all of a sudden be going, so you agree with the beheading of whatever. I thought I was watching straight up
CNN.
CNN, thank you. CNN.
Constant negative news, yes.
Yeah.
I did think it was a little tone deaf for all three of those guys to sit there and laugh after they, listed all of the tragedies. However, I don't know how I would react to that because, like they said, I'd be there to play a golf tournament. But I would also understand I just took a big bag of money, big old bag of money. And with that, another shoe is going to drop. Usually when an amount of money seems too good to be true, it is. There's going to be some feedback, some pushback, and now they're getting it and they're not happy about it. That part I don't understand. They should know that there's going to be some sort of pushback on this.
So
that's why I like Dustin Johnson. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Do you think
he
they
doesn't
sold
care
their
at all.
soul to the devil?
Kind of. I have a feeling because they were written as contracts that whoever on the money backing side was, if we aren't recouping X by the end of these contracts, we're going to fold Livgolf at year 5. I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to make the hurdle, especially if the PGA is absorbing certain concepts of Livgolf's design right now. The real interesting piece is going to be when it folds, what all those golfers do they just become retirees, never come back? Because if PGA holds their ground, it just like any other sport, there's going to be a new class, right?
Yeah.
But is somebody going to go, no, Phil, you still got it. You can still come back and fight. Like this is the Rocky story for Rocky 12. How do you think it's really going to play?
I don't agree with that comment. I think the more that the PGA adds stuff that Liv is doing, the worse it is for the PGA. It just shows that they were the disgruntled X, and they're pissed off that people left because they controlled them and now they don't. And that would only fuel the success of Live if they add events that are similar.
But nobody's watching. Nobody cares.
That's because they hadn't had contracts yet, but they're getting them now. They're on TV now.
So if
Okay,
XFL
so-
players were paid $200 million for this season, would you watch XFL over the NFL?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, anybody.
I mean, I would watch, the lingerie league if they were paid that much.
I mean, I think the XFL is a perfect analogy because, I mean,
100%.
imagine if they brought Peyton Manning back to head the XFL because Tom Brady is Tiger and Peyton Manning is Phil. So they bring Peyton Manning. He's the head spokesperson of the XFL. He's the quarterback. And they bring, a freak athlete like DK Metcalf. Let's compare him to Bryson DeChambeau. He's doing things that no one else has done. And they just, filler players here and there. And the rest of the team is watered down. But they pay him bukus of money to go play. Would you watch that?
The XFL is arena football, correct? Am I not mistaken?
No,
it's
XFL
not
is-
arena football. It's regular
No,
football.
it's not. XFL is. It's now become like the penal leagues for baseball. It's chances for players who just didn't make the cut in the NFL.
Oh, gotcha. It's like where Warner got his start, right? Like that's how he got
No,
seen.
that was AFL. That was arena football. But XFL right now, and I'm giving this offense because everyone knows I'm a Rock fan, is the fact that they changed it. When the Rock took over ownership, it's now become a launching league. You didn't make the cut. You didn't get into the NFL, but you're not done. You died. This is all you wanted to do. So come play in the XFL, get some stats. They play football the exact same way the NFL does. So therefore, the stats, the comparisons, do you rate? It's a kind of a penal league. Go down and play in the minors, and we'll watch you for a while. Oh shit, you've gotten better. Let's call you up.
Yeah, it feels like it's the farm league of
100%.
the NFL.
I know what you're talking about now. It's an interesting concept because if they were able to bring over all these high paid players and they had the money behind to do it,
Then it would.
you can put the analogy the same as the PGA has been around for so long. They have such a following. Same with the NFL. However, the difference is the NFL has the money, right? So
that's what Vince McMahon tried to do with the XFL. He went and did that. He went and got the players who just couldn't make it anymore, but didn't want to hang up their stuff, and he tried to compete against the NFL and got his ass handed to him. The Rock came back, bought it, relaunched it, partnered with the NFL to say, hey, we will feed your league. That is the ultimate difference of the
he's a smart man for doing that.
Oh,
But I mean,
change.
to Greg's point, if they were able to bring, so he's working with the NFL, so it won't happen. But if you were able to bring and had the money behind, which everyone knows the NFL, they're a nonprofit, has so much money that it's not like the PJ where they can get outbid by Live, right? So the NFL is never getting outbid by anyone. Like they make way too much money.
But whether it's about being outbid or not, isn't it also about the prestige of the game? And whether it's
I mean, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I think if you had the money to bring the players, the fans will follow. Because let's face it, the NFL gets worse every single year, just like baseball gets worse every single year. Like less and less people watch it. Worse and worse ratings every single year.
So Kendall, you're saying that the NFL would never get outbid. If you look at the highest paid athletes year in and year out, even with Tiger off that list for golfers, top 5 is littered with golfers every year of highest paid athletes. And that's before Liv came around. So yeah, the PGA Tour found extra money, but let's not act like the PGA Tour never had money. Guys were making good livings before Liv.
I agree. Yeah, no, they have money. I'm just saying the NFL, that's a different level of money.
Okay, so back to money or legacy. Poulter ultimately chose money.
Absolutely.
What do you think
family.
that will do to his legacy?
Here's the reality. I think everybody over there has their legacy. That's the only reason why they were able to pull the names they did. They all have legacy. It's going to become an asterisk in their career, their book, the way it ends. because they went to Live, but they didn't start Livgolf with no names. They started it with legacy players. Unfortunately, players that may not have won any more major tournaments. I think that's how it goes. Now, there are some fresh names over there. What's the kid that looks like he fell out of the back of a pickup truck? What's
Cameron Smith. You're telling me that he wasn't the best golfer in the PGA Tour when he left? He was 100% the best golfer on the PGA Tour when he left.
He
Cam
won,
Smith.
won the Open, and then the next day, he's leaving.
Yeah.
He went for the money because I think if you were to have that interview, I'm with Craig. I think if you were to have that interview with Cam Smith, holy shit, I just won a tournament on the PGA. Holy shit, my stock is worth what it took DJ 15, 20 years to make. They're offering me now tomorrow to leave.
100% he left for the money. We all agree on that. Yeah.
So Cam Smith's legacy is going to go down as a one-time PGA winner.
Yeah.
He has no legacy.
No, but you were saying that they were bringing people that couldn't win tournaments anymore. He was arguably the best golfer on tour when he left.
No, he
Like,
was
no one
not.
could beat him.
Stop it. I am with Greg 100%. He was a good golfer. The lightning
He got
struck.
lucky.
He was not the best golfer on tour. Right
At the time he left.
He had a hot streak.
Yeah.
He had a
At the
hot
time he
streak,
left,
and we've
right?
talked about other people having
I'm
hot
not talking
streaks.
about his career. I'm just talking about at the time he left, he was the best.
He was hot.
Yeah. He was hot. He wasn't even 2017 Jordan Spieth though. I mean,
I agree.
2017 Jordan Spieth was at the end of his hot run. He had just started his hot run and he took the bag. Which, hey, more power to him. He's rich forever now.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, like I said earlier, I would have done the same thing.
Forever. All right,
Okay,
guys,
so we could probably talk about this for hours and hours.
Days,
But I'm going to wrap
months.
this up. The final thoughts. Livgolf, is it a threat to the PGA, or is it something that it will be a thing of the past and we won't even think about it? David, quick answer.
I just as I went back and said, I think when the contracts were up, I think Liv fades off into non-existence. I don't think it will survive.
Greg?
Yeah, I think Liv is a 3-year blip. Going with Ian Poulter. Happy for him. Gets to spend more time with his family. He's obviously a family man. Talks about spending time away from family. But his boys want to be just like him. His oldest son wants to be a professional golfer. His youngest son is drawing 17 TPC Sawgrass in the sand on the beach, hitting shots. They all want to be golfers, so he's doing something right, and now he gets to spend more time with them.
I think we'll see Poulter's. I think it's going to be interesting because I think you're going to see a Charlie versus Poulter, match off here soon.
That'll be great.
That'd be
Kendall?
awesome.
I think it's kind of like what we went through from 2020 to 2022. It's going to be a thing that no one remembers.
Awesome. And Dustin?
No threat. No threat.
Not yet.
There's always going to be new players that want to come into the PGA and make a name for themselves. No threat.
This
Okay.
was an awesome episode, everyone. I knew going into this one, there's a lot of stuff we probably left on the table, which I'm happy for everyone to please leave in the comments. We will all come back and give our 2 cents on any other aspect of this episode that we may have missed. But I knew the introduction to Liv was going to be a heated conversation. It's why we're doing this. This is exactly why I called Greg, because I could tell he had so much more to say. And this is why we're doing this. And I'm so happy to keep on doing this in the future episodes coming up here. Next week's episode is what's everyone's new favorite?
Joel Damon.
Syndrome.
Joel Damon, baby.
Joel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
This is going to be a very, very interesting take because this is the first episode I felt related to a Duffer mindset more than any of the other episodes. So I'm crazy excited to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone who are here, thank you so much once again for another great 19th hole Duffers review, the Pinehurst 6 collab of the Full Swing documentary reviews. Please let us know in the comments. Please let us know, where you want us to talk about next, what golf courses you want to come next. And I do think we're going to end up getting this collab in a golf tournament down with Pinehurst 6, in the Duffers here in the future. With that being said, Barbara, bring us home.
So thanks again for tuning in, and we had a lot of fun, and hopefully you had as much fun as we did. So comment, share, subscribe, because we want to know what you're thinking, and don't forget to come back next week when we review the next episode of Full Swing. Have a good one.